And spam. And spam. No. Pandora, shut up. There you go. All right, cool. So welcome everyone. I'm gonna be I'll be doing a submission run, by the way. So just like the title says, I'm not able to read chat very much. We might still read it as donations. We'll see. And here's with me, Nono. How are you doing, Nono?
Hello, Pandora. How are you?
Nice, nice. So this is like semi-serious. It's not really that serious. We can still have fun. No problem with that. But yeah, we're just gonna go into it.
I was getting into my zero fun mode, so I'll
No.
crank it up to like 10%.
Yeah. You can put like a little bit more. Yo, Amber. Alexa, how's it going? Goonbill, thank you for the follow. I'm actually gonna deactivate the follows, I'm sorry. Just for this. So I'm getting the recording. But thank you anyways. Alright. So let's just go into it. So this is Eternal Darkness. This is gonna be Eternal Darkness 100% one alignment. Okay? We're gonna start on 3, 2, 1. Oh wait, this is new game? Yeah, this is new game. 3, 2, 1, go. Timer. Where's the timer? Where's my timer? Hang on. Let's start again.
Oh no. Washed up runner.
What's the... There you go. Alright, let's do it again. Alright. So, Eternal Darkness, 100% one alignment. We're gonna start here. We need to say new game in order to get some items that otherwise you cannot get. Okay, so 3, 2, 1, go. So, Eternal Darkness. Everybody knows Eternal Darkness, right? It's your favorite horror game, isn't it? From the...
Better be.
from the GameCube era. Cosmic horror game that deals with sanity and magic systems and spells and a lot of zombies. And then there's this guy right here that has a very interesting story.
Yeah, so basically Eternal Darkness is a take on the Cthulhu mythos. It doesn't actually use the same names, but it's basically the same sort of idea. And our protagonist in this game is Alex. She is a math student specializing in number theory, who one day gets a call saying that her grandfather was murdered and is asked to come down and identify the corpse. And this brings her into this conflict with these eldritch forces that, as she's about to find out, have been interfering with and shaping the evolution of mankind for many, many centuries. And yeah, this is Alex. She is in her grandfather's estate, which sort of serves as the Metroidvania, mini Metroidvania backdrop to this entire game. Over the course of the game, we'll be able to access more and more of this mansion and discover more and more of the eponymous Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, so the first thing you can see here is a new character. So what happens is Alex encounters the Tome of Eternal Darkness, kind of a Necronomicon made of human flesh. And she starts reading it, and as she reads this tome, you're gonna play with the characters she's reading. So this is the first one. This is Pius, a centurion from the Roman Empire, and he's on a quest into the desert on Persia, trying to find some like and let's say arcana artifact and some magical stuff.
If I remember correctly, the Emperor at the time gets these visions that there's something in the desert, and Pius is sent to try and recover it, and he ends up being beckoned by these voices that bring him to this place. So, a bit about speed deck. This is a very basic chapter, as you would expect from the first chapter of a game like this, but there's still some speed tech here. One thing you're going to notice is these pickups that Pandora is performing. Usually when you pick up an item in this game, there's this camera zoom, this lengthy camera zoom into it. However, the game is programmed so that if something is on the trajectory of the zoom, then it immediately snaps to the object, which is faster, so obviously we try to get that every time. So that's fast pickup, and it's something you'll see all over the run. Also, this room with the runes kind of gets you in the mindset of there are these 4 elements. You don't quite know what they are, but you know they're of different colors, and we'll see their significance over the course of the game.
And the other thing you're gonna see me doing a lot is punching some doors. Basically, we have this strat where if you do an animation, and a very common animation is an attack in particular, but if you do an animation when you transition into a new room, you're gonna cancel an animation on the next room, which is like the I'm closing the door animation. So basically, every time you go into a new room, your character is looking at the door and then it turns around. But by doing this, we can just avoid that, and we are looking already away from the door in the next room.
Yeah. So, what we saw in that room is Pius had to pick one of those 3 artifacts representing the 3 elder gods. In terms of Hundo, there's actually Hundo categories for each of the alignments, but the absolute fastest one is Ulyath, just like in the other categories of the game, for reasons we will see a bit later in the playthrough. Right now, Pandora is playing as Elia. Elia is a dancer in a region which coincides with modern day Cambodia. And she basically is looking for adventure and finds it here, and gets a bit more than she bargained for. What we're also going to see here is Pandora is going to try and do a cutscene merge. Basically, she's going to set this skill so that she can move within the cutscene and save it a bit of time that way. Let's see if she gets it.
Yeah, the zombie was a little bit far away, so I got you use a pause to move inside the cutscene in order to finish that attack during the cutscene. But if the zombie is too far away, you just don't get it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but I don't think it's a huge time loss either way, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of alright. Then we're gonna sneak a little bit here. So there is this stat that the game doesn't really tell you about. Like, it tells you a little bit, but it's kind of hidden, which is the stamina. So if you run too much, you run out of stamina, and then you're tired like this, and you start going very slow. So to recover stamina, you can either walk or you can sneak. And something that also the game doesn't know, and is very, like, not obvious, is that when you sneak, you recover stamina at double speed. So we do a lot of stamina management, sneaking on certain places of the chapter, basically.
You also saw there that Pandora paused for a moment. Pausing like that in place is good for timing, but it's also better than just standing, because it allows you to store the speed you were moving at. So that's also something we're going to see at times during the run.
Yeah, right there, for example.
Right there, yeah.
So there's also some cutscenes that have the character animated, like that one. Those cutscenes also recover stamina, so those are like they get into play with all this stamina management. and then I sneak on some traps just to make the movement like perfectly. Everything is perfectly like measured here on Elia. And there we can see some zombies fighting each other. As you can see, the different alignments represent different gods, and they are like enemies. So a very cool feature of this game is that enemies of different colors, they just like to fight each other.
Yeah, that's always a really mind-blowing thing. Like I remember when I was playing Doom as a kid, that suddenly I would get into a room and see enemies attacking each other. So there you go. Eternal Darkness. Basically the same as Doom. So some general things about this run. This run, Hondo is actually kind of a newish category in terms of the leaderboard. It's actually taking a long time to decide what 100% actually means. Because for a long time, the main category of this game was any percent no CS. There is a very broken glitch in this game called cutscene storage that allows, basically it's a frame perfect trick that allows skipping large chunks of levels, and recently it's been taken so far as to actually it's actually used for a credits warp.
Yeah.
So the actual any percent of this game is now under 9 minutes and can go even lower. The test for any percent is like 33 and just over 3.5 minutes. So it's super broken. So the more interesting category is any percent no CS, which precludes that trick, and that's been recently taken under an hour and a half by Pandora herself. And now we have Hondo. So Pandora, what exactly does Hondo entail?
So first of all, we call this one in particular Hondo 1 alignment. There is like potential for a like true 100% doing all alignments, but that's still like on discussion. Basically, waiting for someone to ever do a run or not. But for now, Hondo 1 alignment, the cool thing it has is that it's a shorter run that still has all the tech, and you don't have to beat the game 3 times in a row, you know? So we have to collect everything. Like the general rule is we collect everything that remains on Alex's inventory at the end of the game. So that includes all the runes, all the codices, all the spells, all autopsies in max, and every weapon that Alex has. So those are all the rules. Everything that is like extra inside chapters is not really required, because as soon as you beat a chapter, those items disappear. Also, items that are not weapons for Alex are not required, because those disappear at the end of Pious. I mean, when you get to the final fight.
It is apparent.
So yeah, we kind of agree on those terms, just to make a consistent category and something to work with. Because like Nano say, for a while we just couldn't agree on what Hando really meant.
Yeah, it's actually really nice because Hondo is now a category that sort of... The thing is, any percent no CS is starting to get more and more skips, and with future routes, it's going to basically skip like the entire, almost the entire second half of the game. So now Hondo is a category that shows more of the game and actually gets a lot of speed tech that used to be in any percent no CS. So it's a really cool category. Either way, this here is Anthony. Anthony is supposed to deliver a message to Charlemagne, and he is told not to look at the message, but he does. And yeah, of course. And he realizes he gets cursed by the message, and now he realizes that someone is trying to kill Charlemagne, and he wants to go and warn him. This is also the first instance of the game of the Hall of Screams, where characters get the Tome of Eternal Darkness that allows them to perform spells. And yeah, this is when we are introduced to this game's surprisingly intricate spell system. So, as we're going to be explained here, you use different runes to create spells. When you play through the game casually, of course, you pick up all these extra items that tell you how to set up the spells, which rune combinations give you what, and so on. But the nice thing is that you don't actually need those extra items. If you already know which rooms to combine, you can just do it yourself, and that's something that we do a lot in the speedrun. Of course, in Hando, we need all these things just because it's part of the category requirement.
Yeah,
Also
something
here,
interesting, just very quickly, is that even though we need to get those items, we're still gonna create stuff before getting those items most of the time, because otherwise the game shows you like a little tutorial when you have every item. Like it tells you, you make this spell this way, and it does it very slow, so we want to avoid that.
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get the sword here. We got some broken urns right there. That's just to get mix, because we need mix in the inventory, 1 for Hando and 2 for just completing the game. That right there on the floor was a codex. I'm gonna grab that codex later because it's faster. And yeah, we're not gonna use the broken urns, but again, we need mix. So, and we can only get it here on Anthony.
Oh, I didn't. I actually never considered that getting the mix option in the menu is part of the requirement. That's
That's
interesting.
one of the things I forgot. You need also mix and mode, which is the last option that you get later. Okay, so tell me about this.
Yeah, so this is Urn Skip. Basically, there's a very lengthy puzzle you're supposed to do here to get through this in the dev intended way, but by doing the mix in that part when getting hit by the skeleton, Pandora is going to transport that getting hit animation into this cutscene, which is going to allow her to pause, and by casting a spell, she actually can move Anthony during this cutscene, which you're not supposed to do. Also, take a few shots at the bishop. It doesn't do anything, but it is good for the soul. And yeah, by doing that, we can just skip this whole massive puzzle and just go right into this room, which is probably the first really impressive trick of the run. And we do this in both this category and any percent no CS.
Yeah, historically was also the first like sequence break we got in the game. This is a very important one. So if you saw, if you've seen my any percent run, you probably know I usually do a lot of interesting stuff in this room. That's not gonna be the case now. I'm just gonna grab a scroll, do this lengthy tutorial, grab a codex, and just leave. We don't need to do any weird setups here. We just need to finish Anthony.
Yeah, and here's a friend. This creature is called a Trapper. They're very nice guys. They try to teleport you into a special room where you can recover health, sanity, magic, and all that. Sadly, that's slow, so we are going to mostly try and sneak around them, which we have various methods of doing. We'll talk more about that when the time comes. We mentioned Charlemagne before, which is an actual historical figure. This game is actually very... There's a lot of thought put in this game into the historical accuracy, from the historical periods and characters themselves to stuff like the weapons. The weapons are very period accurate as well. It's not just random swords, like the sword that Anthony's holding here. It's called the Scaramessex, which is actually a sword from those times. So you're supposed to be fighting a sort of a mini-boss here called the Horror. Pandora is just going to try and skip that now.
Nice.
Okay, very cool. Basically, what she did is she stored a prompt from the wall that you can use to examine that bookcase. And by doing that and combining it with an attack animation, she sort of runs through the trigger for the mini-boss. And because the text is on screen, the mini-boss can't spawn, so that allows skipping that entire sequence.
And turns out Charlemagne was dead already.
Ah.
So all of that was
all that
worthless.
work for nothing. Yeah. But not actually for nothing, because this is where we actually see the really cool thing about this game's whole sort of mini Metroidvania setup that I was talking about. So Alex, from the beginning of the playthrough, Alex has this key to the second floor in her inventory, and if you come up here and try to use it, just like we do right now, it just gets broken. But we just learned the enchant spell in Anthony's chapter, which allows us to restore the key. So This is going to be a recurring theme. Alex is, by studying the Tome of Eternal Darkness, she actually gets all this knowledge that's been learned by all these other characters, and sort of is combined so that eventually she can actually face up to the Eternal Darkness. So, yeah, that's a basic concept of the game.
And with all that, we get to Kareem. So Kareem is a very fun chapter and very difficult on your first playthrough because it's a very like battle-heavy chapter. Kareem has a lot of weapons, has a lot of cool weapons, and also has to fight a lot of enemies. And there's a lot of rooms where you actually need to kill every single enemy in order to progress. So we have a lot of interesting strats for that, speedrun wise.
Yeah,
and it's also where you see like most of the differences are on this chapter between alignments because of the different properties that the zombies have.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about the Ulios zombies in a bit. They're a big part of why this alignment is the fastest one. But also notice this is the second time we've seen one of these enemies that have this translucent part with a rune in it. And just try to remember how slow it is to get that rune, how slow that animation is, because that's going to be relevant in a moment. Here we're going to get a big delivery of friends. Sadly, we can't play around with these friends because that would be slow.
Yeah, no friend dimension.
Well,
Sorry.
don't you say that.
Okay, hopefully. Let's say that. Okay, so there is a second toolbar right there, but it's useless. It doesn't actually increase their damage to get 2 toolbars. It's just kind of for fashion.
I was so disappointed when I found out about
yeah,
that.
me too.
Okay, so as we were saying, rune pickups from enemies. Very, very slow animation. So, oh, actually...
Yo, no, I have bad news for you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm actually getting confused when you say yes. There's actually a skip for this. But it's dangerous even in any percent no CS and even more dangerous in Hondo. So yeah, we're
like
just going to have to
on
eat the
on any percent. There is a consistent way to do it. If your early Kareem is good, then it's 100% consistent. You can get it. But here, even if you play perfect, like here, I play pretty good. I still got a sanity effect, and a sanity effect with that trick that Nona was talking about causes a crash. So we're just ignoring it here. It's too dangerous. So we got a big boy thing here.
And now we're getting to probably where a lot of people start getting stuck in this game, because this is the first big battle arena of the game. We also get the Ramdell, which is a really cool weapon.
Best melee weapon. So Kareem is very strong. You can actually kill all these zombies with just one shot on the body. Just like this, and we don't want to finish all of them. So in order to progress to the next part of this, you need to finish every single enemy, and that's a very lengthy animation. Instead, you can just watch a cutscene from the menu, and that unloads all the enemies that are supposed to eventually disappear.
Yeah, apparently the game, when you watch a cutscene, it only tracks which enemies you've defeated. So when it comes back, it just says, oh, these enemies were already defeated, so they don't need to be respawned into the room or anything.
Yeah, also, just for the fans, I'm gonna watch the rats cutscene, even though it's lower on Japanese.
That's the concession to the memes.
On marathons, you watch the rats. That's how it goes.
Also, Pandora is going to... she stacked the text box over this cutscene, which allows her to start hitting these enemies a bit faster. This is unbelievably difficult to do and saves about half a second, but Pandora is Pandora, so she can just do that.
It looks cool.
It does.
You gotta do it. So,
hey,
yeah.
If you got it, flaunt it.
1, 2... And now we're gonna enchant this Ramdao and hopefully finish the enchantment during this cutscene. There you go. So there's still a trapper here. Let's see if we can avoid it. We're gonna sneak a little bit. Oh, actually it exploded. It probably exploded on the last frame I was in the room. Sometimes that happens.
Yeah, sometimes you get a pleasant surprise there, and the trapper is already gone.
And the last item we need to get is the effigy. So this is sort of a side quest item. We need to get these little effigies, little statues, to unlock a very powerful item later on, Alex.
Yeah, that's a room you don't ever see in any percent no CS, and there will be a payoff, as Pandora mentions. So this next part is the second difficult fight sequence of this chapter, and not satisfied to fight it at its intended difficulty, Pandora is going to make her life even more difficult. So what happens here is the game spawns this barrier and enemies come in from behind it. And what Pandora is going to do, she's going to stack some tax here, and she's actually going to move beyond the barrier. So instead of fighting enemies in the big section of the room, she has to fight them in this tiny section. This is incredibly dangerous, and you really need to have your wits about you to make it through this fight.
Yeah, like every single attack you do, if you do it wrong, you can accidentally hit the barrier. And actually, you know, the Ramdao is very big, so it's not that hard to hit the barrier with your attacks. So here I'm going out of camera to avoid damage from these enemies. I actually got some extra damage, so I'm gonna do a little something there.
Yeah, and stuff like this is exactly why this is such an advanced trick, because it's not enough to have the strat. You have to know all the different fallbacks that you're going to need to survive this fight.
So
that was really good.
The only thing that really triggers the end of this fight is killing this horror at the end. So what we're doing is we're doing all these waves of zombies in such a way to speed up the summon of the horror as much as we can. So you see, I just left all those zombies alive. And as soon as I killed the horror, the thing just ended. And then we did the same trick that we did before to move into cutscenes with a message text box, just to move a little bit earlier and just grab the artifact. Because that's what we have to do on that chapter. We need to get the artifact for Chandra.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
The things we do for love.
Chandra, who is, by the way, the same actress as Lulu from Final Fantasy X.
Oh
Just so
yeah,
you know.
I keep forgetting about that, because that's for some reason I just can't get my mind wrapped around that fact.
Yeah, she's also Camilla from Fire Emblem.
That's actually, there's a lot of really well-known voice actors, video game voice actors in this game. There's actually a huge overlap with Metal Gear Solid. Alex herself is voiced by Jennifer Hale. David Hayter does some of the early, some small roles in Pius's chapter, and pretty much every character in this game is voiced by someone who at one point worked on an MGS game. Except for Max. Max's voice actor, I believe, has never been in a Metal Gear Solid game, but he has been in Star Wars. And yeah, Max is an American colonist. He inherited this mansion, and he is here trying to make it his own. And things kind of take a turn for him. He gets the Tome of Eternal Darkness, one of the few characters who get it not from the Hall of Screams, but just from a room.
And then a giant monster appears. Just normal stuff. Just mansion stuff. Look, if you have a... We know this since Resident Evil. If you have a big mansion, monsters are going to show up eventually. It just comes with the status, you know? Alright, so we're gonna kill this trapper and we're gonna analyze it. So something about Max is you have autopsies. So Max is actually a doctor, and he can make autopsies to enemies, and you actually get them in the pause menu, and it's super cool. Like, if you ever played this game casually, you should definitely check them out on the menu after the chapter of Max. Don't check them during Max, check it after, and you're gonna get some amazing Max voice acting.
Yeah, the dude just absolutely chews the scenery with that stuff. It's so good.
Also, apparently Kareem is Luis Serra from Resident Evil 4. Nice.
Oh, really? Nice.
Ooh, okay. So we got a rogue servant right there.
That's starting to be a real theme with your hundo runs.
Yeah, I think it's like it is something about the route of Hando. She's just on a different position compared to 20%. So you have a lot more probabilities that happen.
So we technically don't need to defeat this enemy, but again, we need the autopsy, and there are other bone thieves in this game. That's that creature there, the bone thief, but they're inside some of the servants, so you actually have to work harder to get them out, and then defeat them, and then autopsy them.
Yeah, now we're gonna do a little detour here to get a codex, and that's one of the places where I made my spells before getting the codex to avoid a tutorial. And now we're gonna do a free cast. No, don't worry. What is that? Oh, actually, let's explain that now. Yeah, that's a very good idea.
We actually never got around to that. So. One of the things that are difficult to deal with for casual players of this game is you can't move while casting spells. So you really need to pace yourself and make sure that you can finish the spell before an enemy comes in. In the speedrun, turns out if you start casting a spell and then you start an enchant and then cancel it, you can move while the spell is being cast. It sort of severs your connection to that spell. And it's really, really useful. It's not just, it doesn't just save time in the sense of you don't have to sit around and wait for a spell to finish. It's actually used for a lot of speed tech in this game. I would almost say that's possibly the most important bit of speed tech in the entire game.
Yeah, it's definitely a tech that also changed the game completely, like radically. After we got FreeCast, the game became a much more dynamic speedrun and much more fun to both watch and play, I would say.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's extraordinary.
It's where most of the really mind-blowing stuff comes from.
Okay, so we almost got every autopsy that we have to get manually. We're missing one more, which is the Mantorek zombie. It's down below here. And then the last one we're missing is the Guardian that you get automatically at the end of the chapter.
Yeah, that's going to be the... I guess it's a boss fight, the first boss fight of the game, although the Guardians do appear as standalone enemies, so I guess it's more of a mini-boss.
What do we do here? Yes. Yeah. And gone. So, that's autopsy. There it is.
I have never seen anything like this.
We're gonna be using guns for this boss. So, casually, I've seen it a lot, and I did it too when I was young. Most people ignore the flintlock pistols because, you know, it's like a gun that has only one bullet, and then you have to reload it every time. So it feels like kind of a hassle, but actually they're very strong. So, you know, being a ranged weapon and this Guardian right here being so far away and moving so much is actually super useful.
I feel like the game also kind of messes up a bit by not, as far as I remember, the game never really tells you how to manually reload. Like that it's set to a button. So yeah, that also makes it a much better. At any rate, this is the Guardian. Yeah, exactly. This is the mini boss we're talking about, and it's also the biggest piece of RNG in this chapter. the Guardian will take some damage here, and then it's going to teleport away. And where it teleports to and how long it takes to teleport is completely random. This is actually pretty decent RNG.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can actually float around for a long time and actually like lodge itself in the very corner there, so you have to move around a lot to get to it. But that was decent.
Yeah. I would say about average RNG. Yeah, and then after that, like, Max discovers the true and just kind of gets crazy. Because, you know, you find like a giant necro city below your house. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, once you discover that there is this supernatural evil under your house,
There's no going back.
It is a bit harder. Yeah, exactly. We all assume there's just evil lying around, but supernatural evil. At any rate, also, at the very end of that chapter, right at the end of the boss, Pandora casts Sanity Recover. That's because there's a very cute sanity effect in this game of the game tells you like, oh, this is the end of the story, and it continues in the sequel, and it's going to keep trying to do that. So we have to keep doing stuff to prevent that. So that's why the Sanity Recover is done at that point. This man is Lindsay. He is an archaeologist, and he's brought here by a man called... Is it Paul Augustine in this? No,
yeah, one is Philip and the other is Paul. I guess this is Paul. They don't have the same name as Paul on the other chapter.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's you know, obviously Pius Augustus in a like he basically put a hat on. And
wait, he's Pius? Seriously? I had no idea. Okay.
Really?
No, I'm just messing with you. Okay, so
I'm
yeah.
like, did you play this game casually? Anyway,
it can happen. So this is also the hardest, or one of the hardest chapters in speedrun. It has a lot of speed tech, a lot of things that can go wrong, and it's sort of a like semi-long chapter. On Hando is definitely a long chapter because we need to get an extra item, which is, spoilers, the Mantorog rune. Something that you casually pretty much always want to get, but in 80% it just takes too much time to get.
Yeah, the namesake of the ill-fated Mantorog percent category.
No. You don't mention that on my stream.
Yes. So there's actually a skip here that's used in 90% no CS to skip that entire sequence, but since we need to get the extra items from that side of the floor anyway, it's kind of pointless to do it.
Now, a safety save, because there's another skip that we need to do it, and it's the same skip that is on 80% but with a different setup. So we're gonna see it in a little bit. And the different setup is because I need to move the zombie that I use for the skip into a very different position in order to investigate stuff. So you see, every time you see Lindsay cleaning those cobwebs from the floor, you can only do it when there's no danger close. So I need to move this zombie all the way here, so it's far away for me to clean this. I'm also gonna do some spells here.
It's this is called silver skip because the way you are supposed to open this door up is by picking up some silver jewelry and putting it on the statue to the left. And we skip that whole thing, and it's pretty consistent on 80% no CS, but again, because of having to lure the zombie away, it's more dangerous on Hando. So let's see if Pandora gets it first try.
Let's go.
She did it. Very nice.
And the other thing that we could see on the previous room, like I see it because I was paying attention to it, you should always look for it if you're a runner, is bleeding walls. So there's this sanity effect called bleeding walls that is a completely passive sanity effect, and that it doesn't affect you in any way. It just makes the walls paint themselves, so it's very nice. I wish I could have that, you know, in my house. But it lasts like 3 minutes or so, and that's 3 minutes you're not getting any other bad sanity effect. So every time you can get that, it's really, really nice.
Just think what a conversation piece it is for your dinner parties to have bleeding walls. You're never going to run out of things to say about that.
Yeah, so we're gonna go into all these corner rooms of this section of the temple, and every time we go onto one of them, we're gonna dispel some stuff. That's to get rid of a very important barrier for later.
Indeed.
Something we're gonna do here is we're gonna do a fricas to finish this enchant into this button cutscene. And so we can move during it. You're not supposed to move during this whole cutscene. And also during that, I can just recover a lot of sanity. Just safely, because we still need to wait for the cutscene to end to grab the bracelet. So we have to do something in the meantime. And that right there, it's the barrier. If you barely see it there, but it was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Sneak a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of... Lindsay's sort of like a harder Elia in the sense of not only do you have to very carefully manage your stamina, but also avoiding traps in this chapter is... You'll see that Pandora in a lot of these corridors takes very specific lines through the room, which is to avoid traps in a very particular way. So that's just one more thing you have to keep in mind on top of all the other things you do in Hundo in this chapter.
That's another one of the barriers we need to destroy. There's 3 barriers. We're also gonna be killing some zombies here. You never do this on any percent. Ooh, I run out of bullets. Let's kill that one later. I want to kill some of them so they don't activate... Please, game. Okay. They don't activate traps later. Because we're gonna be back here. We need to do some important backtracking for Lindsay. And yeah, that zombie actually is being nice with traps.
Remember me, Alex.
I do remember you. We're gonna play with you. Don't worry. We're not gonna skip you this time.
Yeah, that's actually one of... I think the biggest singular skip in any percent no CS is skipping the Edward chapter, which we're kind of going to do, but we're not going to do. But yeah, you don't actually play with Edward in any percent. And this is a good time to possibly talk about sanity effect manipulation.
Yeah.
So sanity effects are on timer. Basically every there's a timer that counts down, and once it gets to 0 it says okay, we need to get a sanity effect, and once the effect plays there's a minute of cooldown and then it starts counting again. So the sanity effect you get is completely random. Some of them are harmless and don't slow you down at all. Some actually prevent you from progressing or reset the room you're in or stuff like that and lose you a lot of time. So we want to avoid sanity effects to the best of our ability. How do we do that? Well, at this point, we start getting a sanity effect called Explosion. At some point, the game activates a flag that says, next time the player does a recovery, casts a recovery spell, instead of actually recovering whatever stat they're trying to, just explode them, and that's the sanity effect you see at most once during the playthrough. And what we're going to do is we're going to cast recovery while moving, and because we're moving, the spell never actually plays out. But because the game sees us doing a recovery, it says, okay, we need to activate the explosion, so let's start the cooldown for the sanity effects. And by doing that, we actually completely avoid having the sanity effect play out. And that's going to be very useful, and we're going to use that for most of the run, not the entirety of the run. Getting some bad luck here with the red zombies.
Yeah. The body block is so real on this room.
Yeah,
There's
that's
not
actually.
too much you can do about it.
I think that also happens on the record.
Yep. So I really want to avoid the poison there. Also, I got very lucky with the zombie just getting cut by the blade. We're gonna do a cancel spell here. Right there. That's to avoid a very big sanity effect on this room. That is a fixed one. It's the inverted room. And if you get it, you lose 30 seconds. So it's a massive time loss.
Yeah, on the flip side, there's actually rooms in the game that don't give you bad sanity effects at all, that never give you the sanity effects that reset the room, and knowing that, you can actually save some magic by not doing the recovery to not needing to use recovery to avoid sanity effects, which actually saves some magic, which is a good thing because due to how long and how many things you have to do in this chapter, magic is actually pretty tight, much more so than in any percent no CS.
Yep. So here's the last barrier. Get rid of this, and now we gotta go into that place. But that place is too small, so someone else is gonna have to go inside that. Oh, and I guess my TV just turned off.
I mean, that's what you get for playing on an old CRT.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's big enough for a small dog. I would think, just looking at it.
Yeah, so the good thing about actually getting a sanity effect there is that I don't need to worry about other sanity effects for like a minute. So we're gonna set up this trap here, and we're gonna summon a trapper right here. And as I summon the trapper, I'm gonna do a recovery with a free cast. So something about free cast, you can move during free cast, right? But also you can cast other spells during free cast, and sort of doing a double cast. And that's what we did right there. I summoned this trapper, which is this little creature, in order to get inside this little hole. And then I recovered my sanity right after that. Because if you have 0 sanity, you actually lose control of the trapper very quickly. So we need a little bit of sanity to reach that circle. And with that, we get Pandora, the special secret room. And then we're gonna get the codex for it right here. So we actually know what Mandorg is, even though I already know what it is, but gotta get it.
Yeah, it's actually really important to do the sanity recover there, because the game, I don't think the game tells you this, but if you're at 0 sanity, you're only going to be able to control a creature for a few seconds, and then you lose control. And playing casually, you might really get stuck there if you do something like that. That, of course, that would never happen to me because I'm so good at this game. But to a casual, that might happen.
Yeah, it's not like you spend like 20 minutes on that bar. Yeah.
No, of course not. I would never. Also, reminder at this point to get the Trapper scroll.
Yeah.
It's part of the requirement, and it's very easy to forget just because it's at the very end here. It looks like every Eternal Darkness category has that one little detail that you can very easily forget, and it completely kills the run if you forget about it. So whenever we do these commentaries, there's these places where I make a note to remind Pandora of a specific thing.
Yeah, it's the good thing about having commentators.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can have this little time to talk about some stuff, like for example, Japanese. So we run on Japanese because it's slightly faster. So this is one of the games, you know, it's a very common thing that Japanese is faster than other versions on speedrun. On this game, it's not because of the text though. It's because Japanese came up later than the North American version. And that gave the developers some time to optimize stuff. So a lot of things on the memory load way faster. So in general, there's less loading time, and that makes the version faster. And there's the scroll. There you go.
Yeah, there's actually also a Korean version, which is even faster. It's kind of in a murky position because, first of all, the Korean version is extremely hard to get. But also, I think there's a thing where the Korean Wii doesn't actually have backwards compatibility.
Yeah. Because that's the other thing. We play on Wii instead of GameCube. This game is for GameCube, but Wii has way faster loading times. So yeah, it's kind of on a weird spot, the Korean version. We haven't completely get the discussion. I'm towards allowing it, but for now, nobody really has the version in the community, so
Yeah.
it's just so expensive. Okay, so right there, that's what Nono said before. It's one of the things I need to do to avoid the little, what we call it, sequel sanity effect. To be continued. And now we're getting ready to skip Edward skip, basically.
Yeah, so this is where we said free cast is so important. By just using free cast here, casting in a spell, and then doing the enchant, we're actually able to move in this cutscene. You're supposed to see Max just walk into this room, and that tells you that there's something important there. But by doing the spell, it actually freezes him, and the collision for the wall doesn't actually appear until Max steps in. So if we move in the cutscene, we can just get in there. So in any percent no CS, this allows you to completely skip the Edward chapter because you can just get the next chapter page. But we need stuff from Edward's chapter in Hundo, so we're not skipping it. But it's still faster to do this because we can get Edward's chapter page much faster. Otherwise, you have to do a puzzle in the basement, and it takes a bit of extra time.
Yeah, so right there, using a trapper, and like entering the room right as the trapper summons, avoids the usual trigger that tells you the room is too dark, too scary to enter. So Alex doesn't want to. And now some assignments. So someone was asking how expensive that version is. Last time I checked, it was like $300.
During the time of the Inquisition.
Yeah, we've actually gotten to a point where even the NA and Japanese versions of this game are getting pretty damn expensive, so you can just imagine what that does to the Korean version's price.
Yeah. The Japanese is usually cheaper than NA, incredibly enough. So in terms, like, if you wanna speedrun this game on console, you're actually better buying a Japanese immediately, I think, because it's actually faster too. Unless you are running CS, like cutscene storage any percent, the 8-minute category, because that only works on US. It's like version exclusive because of some glitches. And the other thing is, if you're interested in running this game, you can also run on Dolphin. We allow emulators on the leaderboard, Dolphin in particular, just for accessibility, because again, it's hard to get the game. And we definitely want people to just, you like the game, you just start running. Nothing stops you.
Yeah, although Dolphin does have a disadvantage in terms of loading times. It's for any percent no CS, it's about a minute, like 50 seconds slower.
The only bad part.
Something to keep in mind. But it looks and feels great on Dolphin, so if you don't necessarily care about that taking that time hit, that's definitely a viable and pleasant way of doing it. Anyway, this guy is Paul. He is a Franciscan monk, and he comes to this chapel to study an artifact called the Hand of Jude.
Too soon.
And walking around, he just finds this dead body and gets accused of being a murderer. So now he has to go out and try and redeem himself, try to prove that he's not the killer. And that's why we're walking around this chapel.
Yep, we need to collect some evidence. So we need to collect 3 pages of evidence plus a book and deliver them to this custodian, this mysterious custodian that has like black clothes on during the game, but on cutscenes he has brown clothes because of some Japanese shenanigans. So right here, also this rune that you're seeing floating on top of my head, that's a magical pool. We make this this spell on last chapter as soon as we could, because it's a very like broken spell. Like even like casually is amazing. It recovers you an stat related to that rune. So in this case it's health every second. And also in the particular case of health, it recovers you all your stamina every second. So you can virtually run forever with it. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm. Someone in chat, by the way, said Dolphin will show a purple screen every time you finish a chapter. That does happen, but there's a setting you can change to avoid that.
Yeah. Okay, so we're getting ready for the Anthony fight. We're gonna fight our friend Anthony from chapter 3. And we're gonna do it in a very unfair way. You'll see it. Also, this guy is getting corrupted.
Yeah, that's the what the Bone Thieves do, which I say this every time. That's actually a big misnomer to me, calling them Bone Thieves, because they don't really steal anyone's bones. They replace your bones. They're bone replacers. And yeah. Anyway, with this text stacking, Pandora actually managed to skip a cutscene where Anthony gets up. So this entire fight consists of Anthony lying down and us just wailing on him with a mace. Just completely unfair. Anthony, you know, couldn't catch a break either in life or on death. Just what a tragic figure.
This poor guy. There you go. And now we're gonna get the sword that you only get when you get it on Anthony. And it's funny because, yeah, you get the sword right here, and that's very cool for Paul, because the sword is much better than the mace right there. Also, I was walking slowly to avoid a softlock. But something interesting is that actually Anthony does the same damage whether he has the sword or he attacks with bare fist. And it's like very little damage.
Again, can't catch a break. Just the worst of all worlds for that guy.
He can't even get buffed by the sword. Okay, so now we're going to the basement. We need to kill some trappers, do some stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of trappers here. Unfortunately, we have to dispense with these friends because they can lose us a lot of time. And coming up, another horror fight.
Yeah, with a frame perfect special that I haven't got in so much. Let's see this time.
I was gonna say I don't want to hype this up too much until we see if we actually get it. Let's see here.
Yep. It didn't work. It's just so complicated.
Yeah, it's you can kind of move in this cutscene, but it's super precise to do.
Okay, so we got all the jewels. Can put it here in order to open this slab. And right after that, we're gonna do a very special spell right here. So this is Mantra Reveal Invisible. So Reveal Invisible usually allows you to, you know, reveal things that are invisible. But if you cast a Mantra Reveal Invisible, it actually makes you invisible. So then enemies don't see you, which means they don't deal sanity damage. And some enemies like this one don't wake up. Then these two horrors right here fight each other without noticing you. And you can just traverse these very narrow corridors without worrying too much about it. You still need to kill some enemies, but them not moving makes the process slightly faster. Like this one, I don't need to finish it, just need to move it a little bit, for example. Then grab Paragon Codex. I'll talk more about Paragon later. And yeah, this just saves me a lot of sanity, a lot of body blocking. And it's a cool use. Like those two zombies also don't wake up, for example. There you go. And
you can kind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, you can kind of think of Mantarok spells as the galaxy brain version of any given spell. So,
Yeah.
the normal recovery spells just recover, one of your stats. Mantarok recovery recovers all of them. Same with Mantarok Pool, it restores all the stats. And what's the galaxy brain of revealing other enemies that are invisible? Just making you invisible.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff, and there's also a lot of poison effects too, like Mantarok and Chan poisons enemies, for example. The same with attacks. Shields also poison after they attack you.
Would this actually be a good time, since we have a bit of backtracking to do? Would this be a good time to talk about Five Circle and the Pargon Rune and all that stuff?
Yeah. Pargon.
Okay. So the way magic works in this game, you get the 3-point circle in Anthony's chapter, and that allows you to create spells. They consist of the alignment and 2 other runes that describe what the spell does. And over the course of the game, we also pick up 5 circles, a 5 circle and a 7 circle. And the extra rune slots are for the Pargon Rune. The Pargon Rune has no effect of its own. It just strengthens whatever spell is already there. So, for example, if you put in the runes for recovery and you add 2 Pargons, you'll just get a stronger recovery, and so forth and so forth. So a lot of the time it just makes the spell do more of what it already does. In other cases, for example, summon, you can summon stronger creatures. The 3-point summon summons a trapper, then the 5 is a zombie, and the 7 is a horror.
Yeah, we're gonna create horror at some point. Like, we're gonna have the spell in the menu, but we're not actually gonna use it.
Yeah, just for the hundo requirement, right?
Yeah. No, actually, it's not for that. So creating spells is not required. We only need like all the elements to have the spells. Just to don't make the run like a hassle, because you would need to create every single spell. The thing is, if you don't create it, the game will create it for you, and that takes a lot of time on 7 spells.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the 5 circle right there that we picked up.
Yeah, we're gonna make some spells later, because we still don't have Pargon. I need to get it on this trip. Going down. It's one of the tiny differences of being invisible before. It's actually slower to get it now. There you go. I mean, faster to get it now, slower to get it before.
That was really dangerous, getting stuck in that corner. That could have ended very badly. That's one way you can get caught by Trapper, because Trappers, they only react to sound, so if you run around them, that's asking for trouble.
So there we got Trapper, Pargon. I'm gonna... Oh, wait. Save.
Yeah,
I can't
just
save yet.
Save here.
Hang on. Yeah, I'm actually gonna kill this. It's fine. It's just in case things can go wrong. They usually don't go wrong on Hando, because, one of the horses is dead, but still.
Also, this is another advantage of Mantarok, of making yourself invisible with the Mantarok spell, is that these 2 horrors, if you don't use that spell, usually they'll both still be here at this point, but they're much more likely to have finished their fight with one of them dead at this point, which makes moving here a lot less scary.
There you go. So we summon this Trapper right here with a free cast. Right as we got into that cutscene right there, that allows you to move after canceling the Trapper. Move during the cutscene.
It's actually interesting how, because this barrier right here, you skip it in a much more difficult way on any % no CS. It's interesting that Hando is actually a bit, I would say, a bit more beginner friendly than any % no CS actually, because a lot of things are done in a much less tricky way, I guess I would say. Oh, that's bad. Yeah. You can kind of glitch out the Bone Thieves AI by bonking into that wall, but it's not super consistent, and you can still sometimes get trolled.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this case, we don't skip that because we just, like, skipping that only saves time if you are also skipping Fight Circle. And since we're on Hando, we're getting that, so there's no point on skipping it.
Yeah.
But yeah, something, like, very cool is that how strats of Hando complement strats of any percent very well. So a lot of things you don't do on 80%, you do it on Hando.
Hold on, Pandora. Are you sure you're ready for this boss fight? This is very difficult.
Yeah, let's see. Sadly, I can't show you the cutscene, but I can tell you what happened on the cutscene. Like, Paul just went into a very hard boss and got killed on one shot. So,
This
game
is why
over.
you should always save before walking to a boss room.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were saying about any percent and Hando complementing each other.
Yeah, so for example, right now, we're gonna go for Roberto. On any percent, you just don't do Roberto at all. But here, we can do a little strat right here on the piano when we're getting this page with a trapper. So, let's see, let's do this. So we finish that puzzle during this trapper, and then we can grab the page during the trapper summon, and that completely avoids the like one of the intro cutscenes of Roberto when you get the page. So even though we skip cutscenes on, you know, here just pressing start, cutscenes still have to load. You know, it's a bit of time of loading, and then you skip it. It's like 8 seconds, even when you skip it, you know, on the intended way. This way you completely skip it. It just never shows. So it's a little bit faster. And here's the other surprise. For Hando, we're doing Roberto, which is something we
I
don't
was
do.
gonna say,
Normally.
skipping that cutscene is a nice time save. On any percent no CS, we actually completely skipped this entire chapter, which it's a mind-blowing trick. It's probably the hardest thing you do in 90% no CS on the current route. And yeah, it's kind of a shame because this is actually a very cool chapter, but it's also technically before Roberto skip, it was possible to get a sub hour and 30 in 90% no CS, but that's what actually really pushed it down. So yeah, that was a big discovery that really propelled the run forward.
Yeah, sub 130 before Roberto skip was a very like hard milestone. And even after it, like, it's still hard because it's just hard to finish a run.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different kind of hard.
We should have gone with what chat said about that Paul boss. Like Paul speedruns the boss and it goes very well. Don't worry about it. But yeah, who is this Roberto? Roberto is an architect?
Yeah, Italian architect from the Renaissance.
And indeed, and he gets captured and sent down here to survey the place, and the place is full of monsters, which I believe that's a construction violation, safety violation, but you know, we'll see what the people in charge have to say about it later. And oh, this is where you get the most. This is one of the most mind-blowing tricks in the run, and it used to be in any percent OCS, but no longer. So at least we get it here, which is very cool. So Pandora is going to summon a trapper, and basically what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to summon a zombie and have him walk into this smasher, just like it shows in the cutscene, to open the gate back up. Instead, we're going to summon this trapper and walk into the smasher during that cutscene, and for some reason that makes you survive, and yeah, you can just walk around almost normally, except now Roberto has no collision and he can only gain height. He can't go down in height, which has a really cool implication here. You're supposed to cast a spell to be able to cross this pool of lava, but since we can't fall down since we're floating, you can just walk right over and grab that key, which is very cool.
Yeah, Roberto is just a ghost now. That's the other interesting property. You can just go through enemies. We need to get that right there.
Pandora was extremely gutsy there. That was, wow. I skipped a beat there. That looked like it was going to, like you were going to get captured. But yeah, it actually, Roberto being an architect actually plays into the mechanics where you have to go into all these different rooms and examine them, survey them, and you have to do all of this in order for the chapter to end. So it's not uncommon for people to go into a room, do all the things that are required, but forget to do the survey, and then just walk to the end of the chapter and realize that they can't actually finish because they forgot about
Yeah.
We've all
happened
to me. That.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So many times. It happened to me on runs too, even. I lost runs because of that.
Yeah. Okay, so here's another really cool implication of the hover. Pandora is going to go up these stairs to gain some height, and instead of cutting down that rope on the right to lower this bridge and do all that stuff, we just walk on by, and we get this cutscene with the sanity worms, who are actually pretty harmless.
Yeah, they just do sanity damage.
Yeah.
I remember when I was young, I thought the worms, like, I always killed the worms super quickly because I was so scared that they would, like, insta-kill you or something at some point.
Same,
like,
but no, they just stare at you. Also, the one piece of out of bounds we have in this game, also a very cool implication of the float. You can just walk past the wall off camera and just... normally you need to operate the lever to raise the gate, but no, we can just walk on by the side and just bypass that whole barrier. Very cool stuff.
Yeah, there's a tiny section right there out of camera that doesn't actually have collision because there's just no wall there, and then we can just like walk around the other wall and get into the loading zone. It's pretty cool. And so those are like the big benefits of the zombie hover route. That's how we call this whole thing, surviving the Smasher, because you died, so you're a zombie and you hover. And then right here we're gonna summon this trapper and get into this room during the summoning. That avoids a cutscene. It's a cutscene where you normally encounter Kareem, and the game tells you, like, it makes all the connection between different characters and all that. Kareem gives you one of the artifacts. Is like a very important plot point, but it's not actually required for anything. You can just avoid it.
You created the time paradox.
Exactly.
And yeah, for the rest of this, we basically just
go through enemies.
Make a beeline for the exits. Oh, this is nice. You can actually kind of go over the screen by just wiggling a bit there. I didn't know that. Whenever in all my runs, I always go like all the way to the other side.
Yeah, and then
this is the worst camera in the game.
It's so bad.
Oh, that was really good. That was expert movement by Pandora. You have no idea how difficult it is to move correctly during that camera transition.
And sometimes
it's really bad.
Like, if you go too far, you get trolled by the VPROM of the worker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is so close to the ladder.
I forgot about that. It's not just the camera, it's that you can actually interact with two different things, and of course the game is going to decide that it's the thing you don't want. Anyway, Roberto comes back here and he tells the guy in charge, there's monsters and everything, and the guy's like, oh, that's fine. So it's kind of, I don't know, it kind of looks like they just sent Roberto down just to confirm that there are indeed monsters down there, which anyone could have told you. You don't need an architect for that.
I think they were just playing with him.
Yeah, oh, that's right. We talked about this in the past. Yeah, that has to do with the Pillar of Flesh and stuff we sadly can't get into right now.
Yeah, like maybe there's something about the ritual. Like if you put people that had suffered more in the Pillar of Flesh, it has more power. Maybe something like that. Could be. This game
it definitely...
It's green, so...
Yeah, definitely. You actually, at the end of the chapter, if you watch the cutscene, there's actually this bit where Pius just absolutely absolutely lashes out verbally at all these people that they're sending into the pit. So it actually makes sense that getting people demoralized is part of the ritual. And yeah, someone said the ending to Roberto is very disturbing. It is. It really is. When I first played it, it's such an effective part of the game. This game, there's obviously a lot of really great speed tech in this game. It's mind blowing how much tech there is in the run at this point. But it's also just a really good casual game. Even if you don't want to run it, everyone should play this game at least once.
Yeah, and since we skip most of the cutscenes in the speedrun, if you play the game casually later, you're still gonna get so much of it, you know? Because you're gonna see all the amazing cutscenes.
Yeah, there's no... I would say this is one of those speedruns where there's no real spoilers to,
Yeah.
you know, story-wise to watching around before you play it.
Ooh, nice RNG there. So, right there, I really want to don't get seen by one of those pontiffs, just to make my life easier with sanity effects later.
Mm-hmm.
One more.
And I'm reminding you and myself to remind you to get magical attack near the end of the chapter.
Okay, very good. Can you remind me of that later again?
Yeah, I'll remind you again when we actually get to that point, but just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. Okay, we need to clean this dead body with a trapper.
Yeah.
And that's to get to this thing right here, the most powerful circle. 7 circle. There's no 9 circle. I mean, yeah.
We'll see that in a
Yeah. But let's say available to the player, like to cast.
So I think the number one comment we got when Pandora was running any percent no CS in GDQ is, oh my god, it's amazing how good this runner's menuing is. And just look, she's going to make all these 7 spells, and it's just mind-blowing how fast she does it. Yeah. It's impressive to see this as someone who doesn't run the game. As a runner, I can tell you it's even more impressive, because that is not easy to do that fast.
One more. And now assignments. We need damage. Not there. There. I need to recover my trapper. And we need zombie. We have zombie already. Okay. Okay, and we got the power back. You gotta take the power back. Good. There you go. Okay, so again, if you're familiar with any percent, you are seeing that we are not doing some extra stuff on this chapter. We're just going straight forward for the Black Guardian. That's because we're gonna fight the Black Guardian in a different way this time. We're not gonna insta-kill it like we do on any percent. We're gonna do something else. That's a very loud organ. It almost feels like it's not completely level with the rest of the sounds.
Yeah, it's actually... it's interesting you mentioned this, because it's one of those things that you don't notice, but for the most part, the audio mix and editing and everything, leveling in this game is really, really good. Which just makes it all the more apparent when something like that is not really that great. But yeah, this is where you usually fight certain enemies just to do some memory manipulation, but we can't do any of that. Also, you can... Ooh, that was risky. That was gutsy. That was very gutsy. You can sometimes... If you have the rifle, which we get in any percent no CS, you can actually shoot that last trapper through the wall, but sadly you can't do it with the gun. So you actually have to go around the corner, and Pandora was very brave with how she did that.
Yeah, it's like, to be honse, the strat is not technically that scary. It's scary because you know you're running and it's the fear of losing 40 seconds to a trapper, you know.
Yeah.
But there's kind of a consistent way to do it. It's just, you know, one of those tricks that is scary anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do an extra pull. That's not a pull. Never mind that.
And remember magical attack?
Yeah, thanks. Let's make the pull manually. That's just for safety, as well as a save here. So, there you go. So, we're gonna go into this fight. We're not gonna do any save and load shenanigans or anything like that. We're gonna go straight into it. And we're gonna fight this thing. So this is the Black Guardian. This is the Black Guardian that killed Paul on one shot. Remember, with one of those legs. Just smash it. So we're gonna fight this big thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run straight into it. We're gonna go through the leg that smashed Paul right there. Now I'm gonna do a little speed storage to avoid that. I'm gonna summon a zombie. This zombie is gonna help me on the fight. Okay? This is my friend.
This may look familiar.
Yeah, so I have my portable zombie right here. I'm gonna do an attack to set up for a timer. And then, ooh, wait, I don't have enough magic. Let's move it a little bit here.
Oh.
Let's see if I can move it.
Oh no.
I might be able to move it. And do a free guess. I don't like this angle, but it might work. Let's see. Oh, it didn't. Okay, let's go back.
Ooh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunate, but this is why we have safety saves.
So I actually gonna need to walk a little bit here. Just dance a little bit to get extra magic. That should be enough. A little bit more, maybe.
Yeah, that's something I don't think we've touched on. One of the ways to passively regain magic is just to move around.
Okay, I believe that's enough. So I need enough magic for a summon and a damage view. And that's like
But Pandora,
90?
sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
but Pandora, if you want to recover magic, why don't you just cast the blue recovery?
Yeah, to recover magic after spending the same magic, exactly. Almost forgot.
Yeah, blue recovery is kind of a troll spell and it's completely useless. But the blue pool, the magic pool is actually a very useful spell that we're going to use later.
Yeah, there is a
Alright,
use for the blue recover with glitches.
Right. Yes.
Alright, so let's see if this one works. It looks pretty good. There you go.
Nice. So basically, same idea as Silver Skip from Lindsay. Just
Nice.
use the zombie to clip through a wall.
Yeah, so this is what we call like Black Guardian skip to differentiate from Black Guardian insta-kill. On the other one, we don't skip it, we just kill it on one shot. Here, we completely skip it on this time. You know, on this timeline, Peter is just trapped there, actually, with the artifact. He never killed the Guardian, I guess.
Help me! Please help me!
Oh, I guess I did a little detour here. I actually don't need to do this, but it's fine. I just need to pause and do some assignments. So this, I need to do horror. I forgot it. I'm gonna do the rest of the assignments later. So yeah, we got this page early before, so you can just read it immediately. And this is our friend Edward. So another thing that complements 80% very well. You get to play as Edward, a chapter that we skip on other categories.
Yeah, Edward is Alex's grandfather, the one whose murder causes her to show up at this mansion in the first place. And yeah, this is just like Max. This is a chapter that takes place within the mansion itself, and it's a very technical and a very interesting chapter.
Yeah, hopefully we can deliver on this. It might be the most technical chapter actually on Hando, just because of the sheer amount of glitches and technology we use on it. So there is the magical pool. Again, we have that since Lindsay, but only now the game gives you the scroll. You can still create it before, of course. Okay, so I need to complete my assignments after getting the tome. So I'm missing Pool, and Chan. Okay. So, Chan down, and then the 2 pools, this one. And we're actually gonna get a Mantra pool level 7 right there. That should be all. We're gonna start with this pool. We actually need a lot of magic. Even though this guy has a lot of magic already, we need even more. Then casting a trapper right here. Before getting to this cutscene. In order to move during this cutscene. And now I'm gonna need your help. Because I need to concentrate.
Yeah, so moving in this cutscene allows us... It's going to allow us to save during the vampire sequence. This guy's the vampire, and he basically... You have the sequence where he picks on one of your servants, and then you fight him, and then he goes back to the basement to recover health, and it goes on, and you're not supposed to be able to save there, but because we left that room before the cutscene was technically over, the flag that unsets your ability to save never gets unset, so we can actually save during this entire part. Someone asked in chat, was it Edward's chapter where you're healing out of his booze? Almost. It recovers sanity. It doesn't recover actual health.
And I failed.
That's
yeah.
That's shit.
Let's try it again. So that's again, one of the things that happened. Again, it's really technical. Ooh, wait, I didn't save during Edward? Okay, whatever. We're doing Black Guardian again. Don't worry. It's not that much.
Well, we get to see the Black Guardian once more.
Yeah. Okay, so this time remind me to save on Edward.
Yeah. In the tome room, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could have swear that I saved there. I was on like auto mode. So something Edward changed very much after we discovered Freecast. Edward used to be one of these chapters, you know, there's this section with the vampire. Every time you get a vampire phase, you need to wait an entire minute for the next phase to start. So it's basically an entire minute where you don't do anything. You just put the controller down, you know, on speedrun at least, and you just wait. But now with Freecast and moving in cutscenes and all that, there's a lot of stuff we can do that is really cool, but also makes the chapter super hard. I'm gonna try this again. There you go.
Thanks.
Good. yeah, Edward has a flask to heal his sanity, exactly. The liquid courage.
It's actually called liquid courage, yeah. that's where I vibe with the man the most.
Okay, let's make horror and read. So we're gonna see the beginning of Edward again.
By the way, this is a good time to point out we're talking about Edward skip, and of course we don't skip this chapter, but we did get the chapter page early. If we hadn't gotten it early, we would have had to take the penny we got after Peter's chapter, go down to the basement, use it, and then go back up here and recover the page. So it actually saves quite a bit of time, even though it doesn't skip the chapter. These books are massive. I never really noticed. I guess they would have to be massive to contain those clock ends, but they're like,
yeah,
they're not the size of books. They're like the size of crates.
Yeah, and you know what else is massive on those books is the text. When you examine them. So every time you examine an item, you need to scroll down all the text to actually like find stuff on them. You know, there is a like this question that tells you should you get the item that is inside of the book and all that. So we can actually avoid that when you like you get the check on the item and then you can scroll like this. And that way you just skip the entire text, which makes pretty much all the items like the same speed on all versions because of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So
right
reminder
after the
save?
home, yeah. Do that right here. Good. Yeah, that Bipron was trolling me. It's just not there.
Indeed.
Okay.
The interact boxes for items are generally pretty good in this game, but there are a few where they're just kind of suspect. But yeah, here's the sequence again. We move in this cutscene, and we can't exit the room too early because I believe that would lead to a soft lock.
Yeah, if you leave too early, the vampire doesn't exist. You need to wait until this camera.
And now, to fight this guy again, and hopefully this time we succeed. Something we haven't actually talked about yet is moving in cutscenes. So this is a good time to mention. Okay, this time correct. So you'll see Pandora suddenly appearing here in the basement. Something about this game that's important to know to understand a lot of tech is your character is always loaded in. Even if there's a cutscene where it seems like your character isn't there, it's actually always either off camera or made invisible, but the character is loaded in. So if you find a way to move in a cutscene, you can actually you can actually place yourself in that place again. So by moving in the cutscene with the vampire, where it shows the vampire sucking on the energy from the statue, you can actually teleport yourself to the basement.
Oh, you're stuck.
Really, really cool piece of tech. Oh no!
No, but it's fine. We got it. So that
I mean,
right
it's
there.
fine for you. The poor guy can't
Yeah,
fend for himself this way.
he can't escape. That poor thing. So what was going on there? So that was phase 2 of the vampire. Just right there, we killed the vampire. It had 0 HP. That's how it works. Now, how do we did all that? It's very intricate. So basically, we were able to move during the cutscene, you know, of the basement. And then we summon a trapper inside of the basement before the cutscene finish. One more. There you go. And that way the trapper goes up to the hall here. So you can actually hear the trapper. It's right here somewhere. In place of Edward. So you basically, it's like a summon swap. And then Edward keeps being down below. So then after that, the next thing we gotta do is we exploit the save and load that we have, that we got later. So we can save and load during the vampire. You're not supposed to do that normally. And if you do that in the basement, that instantly starts phase 2. Remember, we have to normally wait like a minute for phase 2. But here it starts immediately and the vampire has 0 HP. Which means it's 1 hit away from dying. Oh, I forgot to reload.
Oh no.
I'm like reloading there. There you go. That's fine. No, that's not fine.
Oh, that's
Come
up.
to me. Okay, there you go.
Come back here.
There you go. So you see, we also got this weapon. This is another cool thing about doing basement early. Is you can get the double shotgun, which is one of the most broken weapons in the game. You also get that glitch cutscene right there. Because the pillar is not there anymore. And we need to repair this. And so that was phase 3. And now we are only left with last phase. There you go. So hopefully we can kill this on 1 shot. There you go. You see how strong this is.
That's so satisfying. And now some real action begins. Now we're actually going to go down to Anga, the evil city that Max found out about all these centuries ago. And
It is.
that's a lot. That's a lot of blood.
Yeah.
That's a lot of blood.
So on the entrance right
Wonder what
here,
that's-
I'm gonna summon a trapper and do a no magic message, and that's gonna allow me to move here. I'm gonna de-equip this, and I'm gonna get drunk to recover some sanity.
The trapper allows moving in the cutscene, and the no magic message. That summon has a side effect called stat refill, which puts your HP at 0, and the no magic message allows us to avoid that.
There you go.
That's an extreme close up right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, now we basically have to. So we were talking about that there's no 9-point circles, but there are 9-point spells, and they're so freakishly powerful that you actually have to use these big pillars to set them up. And you can do them at pretty much any order, but basically it's the order used in run is based on optimal stat management. In terms of stamina as well, how much you're going to have to run after each section and so forth.
Okay, I might get caught here by an attack. Let's see. Ooh, just barely. That doesn't really like damage you, but it freezes you a little bit. That's a property of Ouya's poor attacks. We're gonna enter this room right here, and you see there's a guardian there casting a spell, but if you leave the room, you just cancel that spell, which is very handy.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's gonna do a barrier. And then with a magical attack, we're gonna clean some trappers that are on very tricky spots, very hard to kill with guns or run around them. And as well, we just attack the guardian because he's also body blocking you. So you can see here one of the uses for Mentor Pool. So you see all my stats on the left. That means I'm recovering every stat every second. That's how broken it is. And that includes stamina too. That's why Edward can run forever.
Yeah, and about magical attacks, the magical attacks from the horrors actually have some really interesting effects. So, Pandora mentioned Ulyaoth's magical attacks freezing you. Zelteth, the green magical attacks, actually invert your controls, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Which is a very nice touch.
Yeah, and Chaturga ones drain all your stamina.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So never get caught by them. That's like the one way
evil.
You can get Kareem with low stamina. Because you know Kareem has a lot of stamina. So something that happened here, this is the Engasu that has some N64 models. Just some Easter eggs for you to know. You are actually supposed to, you activate the lever, and then there is a lengthy cutscene showing like the bear disappearing, but also some monsters escaping. But if you activate during a summon, summoning a trapper, you can just cancel the trapper and then move during the cutscene, and that way only like one of the monsters or none of them escape. So everything's fine,
Mm-hmm. And see.
We're gonna get our second pull here. Right after this, there's Mentor Pull into a free cast right there, and then you can move during that. So something very important to note, and you can probably you already know if you played this game casually, is casting spells takes a lot of time when you have like spells of level 7. It's actually like 5 seconds, 5 full seconds. You need to just stay there without moving and without getting hit. That is a lot of time, like on a speed run, you know? You just can't do anything normally. And we cast a lot of 7 spells. So that's also one of the reasons why FreeCast made this run much more dynamic and fun in general. It's just such a cool glitch.
And someone said in chat, I like the idea of Alex or someone standing just upstream in any of the Pious cutscenes. That actually happens. I don't know about Pious cutscenes, but there are actual cutscenes where this game has a debug mode, which you can activate via Dolphin. And you can actually control the camera in debug mode and actually see the characters just like standing there while stuff is happening in the cutscenes.
Yeah, the debug is amazing. Yeah,
it's incredibly useful. This is a good time to talk about target running. So, as we said, trappers are...
Go ahead. I don't know where the other trapper was, but whatever.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay.
It disappeared.
Fair enough. We'll take it. Yeah, target running basically it's a bit, the way you do it is a bit like a stair skating in Resident Evil Remake, where by pressing the target button you can momentarily cause your character to stop running, and if you just kind of not mash but do that in a certain rhythm, it sort of cancels momentarily your run animation. And since trappers are activated by sound, not by seeing you, if you stop running for long enough, that sort of cuts them noticing you short. So you can actually just keep running at a much greater speed than if you just snuck around them. So it's very useful in these screens that have a lot of trappers that you don't want to activate.
Yeah, here we're gonna see a little bit of it. So you see there's this trapper here, and you're gonna see me doing this funny animation.
Yeah. On the way in, it didn't matter so much because the trappers have 3 levels of awareness. The first one, they just turn around towards you. The second one, they light up and start like searching for you. And the third one is when you actually activate them. And the third part is when is the one we want to avoid. So we ran in, that put the trapper in the second phase, and once it's in the second phase, we have to use target running to be optimal.
Yeah, the wiggle phase is the dangerous one.
The trapper jam.
The trapper jam phase, exactly.
That's become easily one of my favorite Twitch emotes, Pandora's trapper jam, which is basically just a trapper jamming like that, all lit up. It's very
about
good.
To send you in the friend dimension.
Yeah, indeed.
So another thing that's going on here, you see I'm punching portals, just like we're punching doors. It's a very similar concept. Every time you take a portal normally, your character does like a small walk towards the center of the portal before activating it. But if you do an animation as you enter the thing, you cancel that and you teleport immediately. So that's also why I unequip my double shotgun, because I cannot do it with an empty gun. This is the last pull that we're gonna use. So this is what I like to call the 2.5 pulls route for Enga. It's 2.5 because we do 2 on Enga, and we have like half of another one outside of Enga. Let's see if we can make it explode. There you go. There's another thing you can do. Like if you see you can make them explode earlier, that means you don't have to target run on the way back. So there's some like trapper management. You need to interpret the awareness of the trapper.
I think we have a bit of time before we have to explain the big last glitch of this chapter.
Yeah.
So something to mention is a lot of people seem to think this game has tank controls. This is not the case. This is actually one of the first horror games to utilize completely analog controls, and it actually does a really good job. You would think it would get really awkward because other games with fixed camera angles, other horror games, it can actually be kind of awkward. But this game has a really good camera system, so it actually works incredibly well.
Yeah, I love the controllers on this game.
Yeah, this is something I always mention. Also, in terms of the combat system, we know that in Resident Evil and Silent Hill, those sort of games, using melee weapons is so difficult that it's actually its own challenge run. Like knife only is like this big, difficult speedrun in most Resident Evils. But in this game, melee is actually super useful and super reliable, to the point where people actually don't use the ranged weapons much, which again is a shame because they're actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's just that the melee combat is so satisfying in this game. It's great. Okay, so I'm actually gonna save before this, just in case, and do a free trapper. So, again, you know, at this point you already know that we can interact inside of cutscenes after summoning a trapper, if it is a free cast. So I wait for this last paragon right here. I do a save. We're gonna require this save for later, so I'm gonna double save even, just in case. And then I'm gonna get this no magic message. So this no magic message, I can, you know, transfer it into the next part of the cutscene, which is this. This is the Enga destruction cutscene. And then watching a cutscene allows me to move during this. And I need to wait for that bear to go away. Then I'm gonna leave the room, like that. I was out of camera, by the way. You didn't see it, but you have to believe it.
Again, same ideas before. We exist during the cutscenes, and we can move. If we can move during them, we can actually go to another room.
Yeah, and that way we cancel the cutscene and we just teleported, avoiding the whole sequence of the last portal, which is the longest portal. So we intentionally left that one for the end because it's the one you can skip. And now we can finish. You see some
and that save was actually not just, that wasn't for marathon safety or anything like that. That's actually going to be used for a huge skip coming up.
Okay, so getting ready for that, we're gonna go to Alex 11 right before Michael, and we need to do some setups. So first of all, I need to avoid sanity effects. Let's see how that goes. Now we're gonna see the lady again, because remember, on this timeline, I haven't seen it yet. So she can't get the blood out.
I hate when that happens.
Alright, let's wait one spell there. So I can do no magic. Ooh, okay. I guess we're not doing no magic messages. I just got lucky with sanity effects. Thank you, game. Gonna get the shotgun. Very important. It's required. I'm not gonna use it, but it's required for Hunter. Because you need to get all Alex weapons. They remain until the end of the game, so they're counted in the inventory. Yeah, and now I'll go deep silence. So you help me with this.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to load the save we made before here, because the thing is, we're actually going to use the save we made during Edward to skip Alex's entire Enga part. Alex also has an Enga segment that you normally need to play through. But again, with moving through cutscene, you can actually teleport into that room. And
yeah, so that one was a little bit early. So we're gonna load and try it again.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is very similar to... It's the same technology, kinda, of what we use to skip Roberto and Ingerson. It's also a cutscene restore.
Yeah, basically the game sets up restore points at certain times where it needs to know where to restore the character to after a cutscene or something like that. and we can use we can manipulate that restore point using saves and loads like that.
Yeah, this one was too late. So the early one, you just don't get it, and you need to load. The late one, you get a soft lock, and so you need to reset.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is definitely the hardest trick in the game. I mean, on this particular category, on this particular road too.
Yeah, because you have less skips, Hundo actually dispenses with a lot of really difficult tricks from 80% no CS, so you could almost say Hundo is now the more beginner-friendly category, but this is still a very difficult skip.
Oh, that time we got it, but I missed the pause.
Yeah,
just-
I kind of wondered what happened there.
I was matching so hard, but I still miss it. You have to match it. You have like a couple frames to match pause there, but you actually also need to stop matching kind of frame perfectly, otherwise you're gonna close your menu. So it's a very tricky balance. This one looks good. There you go. Finally. Okay.
Nice.
So we're able to pause. Don't save. So we pause right after the white whoosh of the cutscene, but before the cutscene started. Okay. So now we're gonna go back to Edward right here. We're gonna watch a cutscene. So this way we set up the restore point into this cutscene. That means the next time I finish watching a cutscene, which is what's going to happen on this save file immediately, I'm gonna restore in the Edward room, okay? So that's where we are manipulating. So this is Alex, but in Edward chapter, okay? And right there, I waited until the last room of that little sequence, and what that does is, you know, it sets a flag, which is the flag that tells you, okay, Edward is finished. Enga is destroyed, you can escape now. That exact same flag is shared with Alex, and it's the flag that activates the last portal into the last fight of the game. So that way we have that on Alex now. And then we are actually stuck inside of Edward with Alex. So we read Michael to get out of it.
Yeah, and that way when it restores us, it gets us out of that.
Yeah, it's like it's such a cool skip. It's like super, you know, it just came up with
it's
that.
It's like a happy accident because it wouldn't necessarily have needed to be that way. Like there's no like basic reason why that flag should be the same for those two things, but it is. And
yeah.
It's one of those cases where you just have to be thankful for things falling into place, basically.
Yeah, and it is especially true on this game because most flags are just not shared. Like most flags are specific to chapters. This is one of the few flags that are shared between chapters.
This man right here is Michael. Michael is a Canadian firefighter who is sent to Kuwait after Desert Storm, and he and his team end up in these ruins, and he's the only one who actually survives. Michael has a lot of weapons, which we pick up for, I think mostly for safety. Don't you also need to pick up the items for mode in the menu, or does that come from something else?
We get mode on Edward from the double shotgun.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, very cool chapter, and we are going to make use of those weapons. One thing that you saw right there is some tech that we haven't mentioned yet called multicast. So freecast allows you to move while casting a spell. One of the things you can do is change this, and after casting a spell and moving around, you can start casting another spell. And you can sort of... Was there...
No, that's fine, that's fine. It's just a sanity effect. We got it before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's all good. Just funny.
So, yeah. So you can sort of, if you time it correctly, you can actually shift the property of being able to move while casting a spell between spells, and chain spells like that. That's what we call multicast. You do need to be careful with that because if you chain, I believe, more than 4 spells, the game crashes.
Yeah. All right.
And here we got the last effigy, and we can say goodbye to the sanity worms. That's their last appearance in this run.
Oh, it's actually one more on the.
Oh
on
no,
the bomb.
no,
Yeah.
I'm wrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
At the very end, that's right. At the very end of this chapter.
Okay, we're gonna kill some trappers here. You just avoid them on 80%, but we need to kill them here for safety.
Yeah, we actually come back to this room in a very cool way.
There. Oh, I got stuck. Okay, good. I'm like semi-stuck.
Whoa, that
It was still fine.
That was sketchy. That
Yeah.
was sketchy for a bit.
Yeah, you can like move after summoning the trapper and keep like Michael running all the way. Ooh, that's very low HP, but we can work with this. But sometimes you just get body block.
What's the worst thing that could happen?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, there you go. So,
But yeah,
Freak
this
Trapper.
puzzle is why we...
And, you know, the usual stuff. This allows you to move in cutscenes. And then we can move during this whole cutscene where it shows you, you know, there's this slabs moving, showing you a secret passage. We can just move during that with an invisible rifle, by the way. Move here while the slabs move. Saving some time. That's what we call effigy warp. Right there.
Yeah, and that puzzle was what the effigies were for. That's going to get us a cool thing that we'll use during the final boss. This here is called Magical Refiller. Basically, if you use any spell you cast during a sanity effect, the effects remain, but you get refunded the magic. And that's actually really important for Michael because Michael does not have a lot of magic. So anything we can do to have a bit more, that's always good. And now another piece of deck that used to be an 80% no CS, but is now just in Hundo, Bind Skip. So right here we have these 2 horrors, and the game tutorializes you on the use of a spell called Bind, which is basically like a charm spell. It makes a monster fight on your behalf. And the idea is you cast it here, and you watch the 2 horrors fight each other, and once one defeats the other, this barrier gets removed. The problem is the fight can take very long. It can actually take upwards of a minute. So on any percent no CS, you kind of have to roll the die and just hope for good RNG here. But in Hundo, we're actually going to manipulate that entire portion so that it takes very little time. It's actually, if you get really good RNG, it's actually faster than doing Bind Skip, but we don't really want to risk that on Hundo.
Yeah, so I got a wrong spell right there on my assignments.
That happens.
Okay, bind. There you go.
Alright, so what's going to happen here? There's the explosion sanity effect we were talking about, and by doing it there, it actually allows you to move in this cutscene, and also it despawns the barrier. So you no longer depend on the kindness of those horrors.
And then we finish
it.
it.
Very nice. Got the double frag. Pandora Jane, expert Counter-Strike player.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's the fun part of the run. Pandora is actually going to do the animation skip on doors and ladders. If she messes this up a bit, Michael dies. 2 slap damage from the grenade. So you might be saying, that doesn't sound like a good trade-off. That doesn't sound like a worthy time save, but here we are.
It's the swag. You have to do the swag.
I mean, what's speedrunning without the swag, right?
Yeah, and it will actually kill me because Grenades are so strong, they do 60 damage, and I have like almost 40 right now. Like almost 40 HP, no more than that. Okay, another multicaster right there. We need to do shields, so since we don't have magic before, we just kind of wait there and like dance a little bit there, spin a little bit to get magic and link that spell with the enchant item that we need to do on the bomb.
Yeah. And this being a horror game, we get the Resident Evil / Metroid / what have you escape sequence with the timer before the C5 explodes, the enchanted C5. And yeah, we're just gonna run past a bunch of guys. Sanity pool is really important here because once you run out of sanity, the sanity damage you get from enemies seeing you actually translates to health damage. So on the current health, that would absolutely kill Mike and also make him move slower because again, like other horror games, when you're low health, you move slower. But because of the sanity pool, each bump of sanity damage, it first drains your sanity completely and only then transfers to health damage. So by getting like a little bit of sanity each second, we completely make sure that we don't get that health damage.
Alright. Need to make a tier list of all the door skips. Punch, stab, shoot, explode, exactly. Yeah, that's one of the other reasons why I like to do the explosion, is because after you're out of bullets, you get a nice beep sound from the gun every time you do one of those. I just love that sound so much.
Yeah, it's great.
So I risk the run for that.
Putting it all on the line for the beep sounds.
Okay, another multicast
Right, so
here. There you go. Yeah, go
So
ahead.
it may seem like we have a lot of game left, but there's actually not because of the setup we did earlier. So we're gonna go to the main hall, we're gonna pick up some stuff, do a puzzle, and that will basically be it. We'll go from there almost directly to the final boss fight. So because we did the effigy puzzle, this usually contains one of the artifacts. This time it's going to give us the artifact and the enchanted ledges. And setting up here a skip called Basement Warp. So Pandora is going to almost finish solving this puzzle, this light puzzle right here. Almost. Then she's going to summon a trapper. Free cast to summon trapper. And while the trapper is being summoned, she's going to complete the puzzle. And again, thanks to existing in cutscenes, we're going to be able to move here and warp to the basement.
There you go.
And that's that.
And also, the little plate right there doesn't move because you cancel the cutscene. So it's still there, but the flag is already set up. The flag that tells you, you know, you can go down. So it's all good.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing about this game that you notice after you start doing some of these skips, that a lot of the collision is actually separate from the animation. Like the collision gets unset even when the animation doesn't actually happen, which we see in a bunch of places in the run.
Alright, one of the last freakouts here. We do a dispel to get rid of this damage field that trolls every single casual player on this part. And we're ready to go. Look, everything's it's done here. Everything's ready.
Yeah, that's
someone
the
did
magic.
it.
The stale reference basically that is gets left over from Edward that allows us to go directly to the boss fight.
So I love, again, just the compliment. Any percent and Hando. On any percent, you only do the Enga part of Alex. On Hando, you only do the Enga part of Edward. So you don't have to actually do it twice, and you get something completely new out of a different category. It's great.
Yeah, you wanna talk horror and existential dread. That's the feeling you have when you get to this part with Alex and you realize that, oh, you need to do this again on the casual playthrough. Anyway, this is Pius. This is the last fight. This is actually a really interesting fight on Hondo because of the Enchanted Gladius. So the basic mechanic here, there's that artifact right there. Every time we hit Pius, the artifact appears, and we need to destroy the artifact before we can actually damage Pius himself.
He's so fun on Hondo.
Yeah, because of the... So, in any percent no CS, you have to actually go up to the artifact and hit it with a melee weapon, but the Enchanted Gladius, since you can just boomerang it, it just makes it a lot better. Here we're going to see a ghost of each one of the playable characters in the game, and each ghost has to hit the artifact. If you get hit as a ghost before you hit the artifact, you actually reset that phase and you have to do that ghost again, so you really need to watch out for that.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty damn good. Yeah.
I think I can get it. Okay, because sometimes ooh, look at that! It gave me a good artifact for any percent, but that's a bad one for Hondo.
Yeah.
Ghosts actually need to walk to the artifact. They don't have the benefit of the flying sword.
Only Alex is allowed to.
Another
actually,
one.
Oh
Jesus.
no. Actually, when you try to equip the Enchanted Gladius, when you get it with Michael, it says something like, only the legendary hero can use this artifact or something, so yeah.
You're not the chosen one.
Alright, now that we've finished cycling through all the ghosts, the artifact disappears, and now it is time to finish this man. Finish this man's whole career.
Okay, that's damage field. That's pretty good.
Oh no.
I'm gonna teleport him a little bit.
Alright, we're about to defeat Pius, but time isn't on Pius getting defeated. It's actually on setting the last rune after this cutscene.
That was an amazing
so
last phase. So time is coming. In 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
And that's that. That's Hondo.
That is Hondo. So, a little something about the end right there. You actually have to fight with the Gladius just like that on the last phase. Contrary to any percent where we use the shotgun, we cannot do that here. I mean, you can, but it takes too much time because we have a lot of extra items in the inventory. All those extra items will crash the game. And we have those because, you know, we skip entire Enga, so we never really use the artifacts or things like that. And it takes just too much time to use all of them. So not shotgun, but that last phase is still very entertaining.
I'm sorry it had to be like this. It's not quite the inheritance I had in mind for you.
So yeah,
it
is finally over, my dear.
Yeah.
Something just for the end to mention. Marathon-wise, this run has some interesting, what's it called, incentives. So just like Nono mentioned before, there is actually a lot of differences between alignments. And so a very good incentive for the run is which alignment do you want, you know, the runner to play. And it changes the run quite a bit, actually. And it's just interesting because all the people that play this game casually will probably root for one of their, you know, their favorite ancient for that. So it's a pretty good incentive.
I would, if you want to really troll Panda, you can go hard for the Chaturga alignment.
Exactly. Well, actually,
was that one?
Actually, the hardest one is Celota. On Hondo.
Really?
Yeah. Chaturga is somewhat hard until Karim, but then it's easier because you can do insta-kill. You have to do insta-kill on the Black Guardian. So that makes it easier later. Yeah. Celota is the hardest one, if you want to troll me.
Interesting. Okay, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it means that there is a choice between like the fastest alignment, the hardest alignment, and the I don't know, red alignment.
The weird alignment. Yeah. It's weird because the beginning is harder because of Karim and all that, but then it gets easier. So, but yeah, just interesting. things for the run. And yeah, again, if you're interested in running the game, there is a bunch of tutorials. Some of them are not edited, but they're still, you know, friendly by me. And there's a lot, and an active community, small but active. We're working on a rando. Jove is actually working on a rando. We're just testing it. He is the master that's
Amazing
doing all the
progress.
work. Yeah, amazing.
Amazing progress on that.
And so yeah, stay tuned for Eternal Darkness, and thank you for
Yeah,
watching.
and there's talk also of maybe like doing some IL tournaments. There's a lot
Yeah.
of cool plans for the community. So this is a good time to get in on this incredible run. I can't tell you, it's such a good run. People really sleep on it. So much cool tech, just incredible stuff.
All right.